Right, hopefully I can be heard and seen. Oh, hey, what a cock up that was. I honestly, I don't have any music playing, so it was a conundrum of finding out the source of the bedevilment. But we got to the bottom of it, I hope. I hope you can all hear it. Someone will let us know, I'm sure, if you can't. But what an exciting night it is. Ahead of Nigel Farage appearing on BBC Question Time against dodgy dossier Alistair Campbell, we're actually going to go through some polling, which is pretty groundbreaking, actually. It's the first time the Reform Party has been ahead of the Labour Party. Let's not forget they won a landslide majority only 5 months ago, but it's a landslide majority that's about as well stacked as a new built house. Honestly, it's getting dire for the Labour Party. I don't see how they turn this around, even in 4.5 years. I really, really don't. I'm just going to turn up that volume for one of our lovies. Right, hopefully that's better. I've just turned up my volume. And I'll show you this first of all, though, because this has got me really irate. You're not going to believe it. If you haven't seen this already, get ready for your blood pressure to hit through the roof. I'll tell you that. So, the New Year's Honours List has been announced, or rather, it hasn't been announced, but it's been reported in the Financial Times who's going to get a knighthood. And you've got Andy Street. You've got, who, fair enough, he was mayor of the West Midlands for the Tories for all those years. I think he probably did an all right job. Lost in the last election. Emily Thornberry's getting one. So she's going to be Dame Emily Thornberry, I assume. Unless she's getting a bloody peerage. I mean, she already goes around like a snooty cow, doesn't she? So it'll suit her perfectly. She's Lady Newgie. She's about to become Dame Newgie. And get ready. I'm warning you. Your blood pressure's going to go through the roof. Are you ready? Are you ready? Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan's getting a knighthood. Sadiq fucking Khan is getting a knighthood. What's he getting a knighthood for? For all the young girls and boys that have been stabbed to death on the streets of London. For the rampant crime that goes unsolved. For, I don't know, Islamophobia Awareness Month. Is that really because that's all he's spoken about for the last 6 weeks. And we're giving him a knighthood as a nation. I thought a knighthood meant you actually had to do something of merit. You actually have had to have been something. All he's been is a divisive, pompous little political pygmy. And he's done absolutely naff all for this country, and certainly naff all for its capital city. I can't believe this personally. I'm absolutely outraged by it. Absolutely shocking. London is on its knees. You cannot get a house. If you can get a house, you've been taxed through your eyeballs. The crime's off the scale. Phone jacking, carjacking. All of it's happening under his watch. And he cares more about virtue signalling and political posturing than he does delivery. And they're giving him a knighthood for it. You've got to be pulling my pisser, I tell you that. Right, anyway, moving on with what I actually wanted to talk to you about today. Reform has overtaken Labour in a national poll for the first time. The Telegraph have put out this lovely graphic of Nigel at the Reform Party conference. And Nigel says, and we're just getting started. And boy, oh boy, this is a landmark finding because it's the first time that the Labour Party have been trounced by Reform. Let's not forget that Reform didn't exist until 2019. And we're talking about them beating a party of government that only 5 months ago got into power with over 400 seats. This is unprecedented. Unprecedented. We are living in times of desperation. And I hear that from people. I hear that from yous, from the electorate even. I wish we had electric. I cannot afford to put mine on these days. But that desperation, we'll get on to some more of why that desperation's there, but I want to show you the actual poll. So, Conservative vote at 26%, Reform at 24%. They're nipping at the heels of the Conservative Party, who've had a resurgence since Sir Keir Starmer has actually, what's he done? Two-tier, banging up everyone with a dissenting voice, free gear, more money and clothing and all the rest of it from Lord Ali than a Kardashian gets from an advertising campaign. Pensioner harmer, attacking pensioners at a time when we're given £5 billion for asylum claims in this country. And then farmer harmer, the damage that he's done to our rural areas, I think it's hard to quantify. No one knows. But all the predictions say that this is going to have a dramatic impact on our countryside and rural life in Britain as we know it. Food security goes out the window. We already had steel security go out the window thanks to net zero, which they're pushing, by the way, massively under Ed Miliband, on everything. On everything. They are uniting the country against them. On pensioners, they're uniting them against this pernicious assault on our generation that have worked to build this country to what it is today. On farmers, our food security, we all care about it deeply. Why on earth are they doing this? It's about land grabbing. That's what it's about. It's not about money for the NHS. They've just put taxes up to the tune of 40 billion quid. This is about land. And on justice, they'll bang up people who say that Muslim grooming gangs exist, or who say fly an English flag outside of a mosque, or who raise their voice at a police officer after 3 girls have just been stabbed. But they won't bang up hardened criminals because the prisons are full. But they will make an example of those who dare have a dissenting voice in our political climate that is deliberately trying to choke off and censor our voices. I fear for it myself. They're uniting the country against a really horrible prospectus that says that we're not going to grow economically, our taxes are going to continue to go up, and net zero is going to make you poorer and colder, and you've just got to accept that. We know best. We're your Labour betters. Sir Sadiq Khan and Sir Keir Starmer, they know better than you do. That's what I have to say to that, my friends. But Nigel's on Question Time tonight. I'm going to be watching that, and that's against Alistair Campbell. He's going to have to eat his words because he said Reform would be a busted flush. Look at them now. He said GB News would be a busted flush. They're beating Sky News. Last month, beating Sky News that's been around since the 1980s. Are you having a giraffe? These people are going to have to eat their words. Jackie Smith's on. She was a former Labour Home Secretary. Look what they did under Blair. That's when it all started. And then Kevin Hollinrake from the Conservatives. Well, I don't know who you are, my friend, and I'm not sure anyone cares to know, I'm afraid to say. But Starmer announced a plan for change anyway, so he's going to turn it all around. He's going to turn it all around. Labour are going to trounce the whole lot of them again. That's what he's saying. He's going to turn it all around. We're going to forget about the last 5 months. It's all a mirage. It never happened. Sir Keir Starmer and Sir Sadiq Khan. I'm not going to get used to saying that, I'm really not. He's used a new slogan in 2020, going back from 2020 to 2024. This man's had more changes than I changed my underwear. And I swear I'm a daily man. I change my undies every day, I promise you, you cheeky swines. And he's done it more than I change my underwear. He says that he launched a 1997 style pledge card that Blair launched. Then he said that they were going to secure strong economic growth. Then he said Sue Gray resigned and he said he was relaunching Number 10. And now in December, he's delivered a plan for change. He's had more resets than a dodgy Chinese lecky box. Really has. It's not going to work for you, mate. It ain't going to work for you. Because, another poll, half of Britons disappointed in the government so far. including 1 in 4 Labour voters. 1 in 4. That's 25% of Labour voters. Half of Brits saying they're disappointed by what Labour have done. And remember, they only got 9 million votes. In 2017, when Theresa May almost lost the general election, she actually got nearly 14 million votes. She got 13, I think it was maybe just over 13 million votes that she got in 2017, and she nearly lost the election. Labour got through because people were so fed up with the Conservative Party telling them one thing and then completely betraying that trust and that faith that we put in them. They betrayed us, absolutely. So we said no. Many people just stayed at home. 9 million votes, that's all they got. And half of them, half of Brits, already saying, I've had enough with this lot, like, no way, Jose. Not in my name. Not in my name. Hey, I can't wait to see what Sir Sadiq Khan turns up to the palace wearing. Good Lord, honestly, I cannot get over it. I'm in shock. Apparently, so we found out today that Mohammed is the most popular baby name in the country. The Office for National Statistics have told all that Mohammed is the most popular baby name, to be expected because, you know, every boy born a Muslim seems to get called Mohammed. I find it pretty odd myself. I wouldn't call my child Jesus, but there we are. That's each to their own, I guess. But we're in for a real cultural shock. You know, it just shows the magnitude of the change and the growth of the Muslim population in this country and the differences that that'll bring about. But one interesting finding from these stats is that the name Nigel is on the rise. Little baby Nigels are popping up. No little baby Kias. No little baby Two Tears. So Nigel, apparently when a year before Boris became Prime Minister, Boris was climbing the charts as a name. So Guido are saying here, with Nigel as a name on the rise, you know what this means? The man himself fighting for the top job. And, hey, I'm looking at your... Mohammed, let that sink in, says Joel. Yep, I know, you're absolutely right. Kami Shai says, I don't think you've lived long enough to know what happened in the 70s and 80s. Thank God. I thank God. I do. A 3-day working week. Well, Labour want to bring about a 4-day working week. A leggy going off, not having energy. We're going back. We're going back there. We're heading back to the 1970s. What we need is the strength of Mrs. Thatcher to sort the country out. Everyone says we're a rich country. We're bloody not, you know. We're not. And then we've got all these parasites coming over, invaders coming over, and we're spending £5 billion on asylum claims. So what does Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, think about it then? She talks about these 6 milestones that Labour's announced today in their reset that I told you about a moment ago. And she says, guess what? She says border security is not one of Labour's 6 milestones in their plan for change. Well, I tell you what you can do with your plan for change. You can shove it where the sun don't shine, because I'm not interested. Border security is at the heart of much of Britain's malaise and problems right now. British people are not safe. And this is what she said. Have a listen to this. Hopefully you can hear it and not my bloody music.
Everything you've told us, not one of the significant 6 milestones we'll hear more about from the Prime Minister later today, Home Secretary. Isn't it important enough for him?
So the plan for change that the Prime Minister's setting out today, it sets out the practical milestones in the areas where we had set missions.
So that's not border control?
So it includes things like the NHS, on growth and the economy, and also on safer streets.
Yes, I've got all of that, and indeed but I say again, is border control not a key milestone?
It is included in the document the Prime Minister will be setting out today. So it is as part of the plan for change, because one of the other things we always said is, look, all of these things where we're setting out the missions, the milestones, they are underpinned by some foundations. The foundations include national security and border security. So it does include a clear determination to make sure that after the lack of controls of the last few years, that both legal migration and illegal migration need to be brought down as part of just getting control back and restoring order to both the asylum and the immigration systems. So that will be included as part of the plan for change today.
Will we hear a numerical target, Home Secretary?
Well, what we've always said on this is that we need to have and this is an area where you had lots of, I think, supposedly slogans and targets from the Conservatives that then just didn't really stack up, and actually things went in the opposite direction. So I think people rightly are a bit sceptical about people picking numbers out of thin air on this particular topic.
They like a target, Home
Are they
Secretary.
going to come down or
but
not?
I think we saw what the Conservatives did just didn't work on that at all. So that's why what we're saying on this is we are clear. Keir Starmer said we need significant reductions in these dangerous boat crossings. We're also clear that net migration needs to come down from the record level, so both legal and illegal migration. But it's part of restoring order to the system, part of increasing returns for those who don't have a right to be here, so that the rules are properly respected and enforced, and also making sure that, you know, we get proper fast decision making, that we don't have backlogs stack up, and we don't have the chaos in the system we've got at the moment.
Grateful.
I mean, Enzo says, I'm shocked she didn't say irregular migration instead of illegal migration. But you notice there that she says we need to stop the crossings, not the numbers coming. She didn't want to give a cap on numbers. And that's because they're setting up these safe and legal routes in other countries to bring people here so that they don't make the journey across in a small boat. So the numbers of the people coming from all of these far-flung countries that are fighting age young men, they ain't going to go down. It's just a different means of getting here. That's why she's not saying that actually they'll cap anything. Because I don't think basically, you know, you don't have to be Mystic Sodden Meg to figure out that Labour aren't going to reduce mass migration to this country. You didn't have to be. I wish I was as sure as winning the lottery, because I'd be sat sunning myself on some Richard Branson's island or something like that. It's a whole joke. And here's why it matters. So this fella here, right? This fella here, Audrius Vakaukas, has been deported from the United Kingdom 5 times. So you can see that there. Deported from the UK 5 times. But was recently found living in the UK again. 5 times. I'm not sure I've even left the United Kingdom 5 times. Never mind being deported and then returned 5 sodden times. Are you having a giraffe? I've honestly heard it all now. I'm at the end of my tether. I've just found out Sadiq Khan's getting a knighthood. I've just found out that Reform are trouncing in the polls. But we need reform now. An illegal immigrant deported 5 times, found living in Britain again. And Labour want to talk to me about how migration's part of their plan for change. You couldn't organise a piss-up in a sodden brewery. Sir John Prescott couldn't have organised a better piss-up than what these fellas are doing, and this was a man that loved to drink. I cannot understand how on earth that would happen. He's just been jailed for 2 years, so that's at our expense, so we're paying for him at His Majesty's pleasure. And he'll be deported for a 6th time once he's served that 2-year sentence. And PC Todd, I'm not kidding you, that's his name, I'm not being funny. PC Todd, on you Todd, from Cambridgeshire Police, he says, I hope this case sends out a strong message that people found in breach of deportation orders will be found eventually. Found eventually? He's done it 5 sodden times? Found eventually? You've got to be having a laugh. The whole country is tearing the hair out, completely exasperated by what these people are putting us through. And you're saying, I hope it sends out a strong message. Mr. Muscle from the old adverts has got more of a strong message in his bony little arms than what PC Todd from Cambridgeshire Police has, what Yvette Cooper with her 6-point pledges has got. How dare these people? And if this man, clocked 5 times, how many others are running rampant, completely unbeknownst to the authorities, that have come back again? Let's not forget that it was Tom Robinson, I believe his name was, Thomas Robinson. Young lad, aspiring Royal Marine, and he was knifed by an illegal migrant who had killed someone elsewhere in Europe. And he got here. Other nations in Europe said no. He got here. No questions asked. That's it. And he went on to kill an aspiring Royal Marine, someone that wanted to serve our country. While this lecherous, horrible waste of oxygen just wanted to take lives. 5 times. 5 times this fella's been deported. 5 times. PC plod. Aye, PC plod. Off you Todd. That's what I'm saying. A PC bloody Todd. He's got my bloody blood boiling. And then there's this that I saw the day as well. A council, Stoke-on-Trent City Council, right? Actually, I want to show you this first of all from the Stoke-on-Trent City Council. Well, hopefully you can see this bit at the bottom in yellow, because this is the most important bit. It says Stoke-on-Trent City Council's Cabinet has approved proposals to save essential services while tackling huge pressures on the authority's finances as set out in the 2024-25 budget. The proposals, which were open to public consultation, and by the way, those forms of public consultation will be a swift F off. We're going to do what we want because you plebs keep voting for her. It was open to public consultation, including raising council tax by 4.99%, with an additional 26.1 million quid invested in social care services. Council tax going up by 5%. Your wages might be going up 5%, but so's inflation. So's your energy bills. Your council tax is going up as well. The same council, Stoke-on-Trent City Council, the same council, and thank you, by the way, to whoever it was that emailed me this, because they were spot on to do so, and I appreciate all the tips that I get to my email, and I do read them. I don't always get a reply to all of them, but I do read them. And the council has just established a grant for Afghans, and Stoke-on-Trent City Council will receive 1.2 million quid to house 15 Afghan families. So these families, they're buying properties, and they're claiming it's a win-win for the residents of Stoke-on-Trent City Council. They're saying it's a win-win for them because they're refurbishing homes and they're adding them to the housing stock later. Are you seriously trying to pull our pisser here? Are you trying to pull the wool over our eyes? Are you trying to suggest that these people are going to go back to Afghanistan when they've got the land of milk and honey here? We're not that thick. We can see incentives, the pull incentives. I don't think going over to the Taliban's going to appeal to anyone anytime soon, do you? And they say it'll be a temporary arrangement. And they say that the schemes will be green-lit while local families are utterly powerless to do anything about it. Local families, you want to have a bairn, you want to have a child. Well, you can't because you can't get yourself a house to have that extra bedroom. You want to get yourself on the property ladder to begin with. Well, you cannot do that because there's no housing stock. 1 million people came here last year A city the size of Birmingham. And Birmingham's bad enough without recreating it. No offence to anyone from Brummie. And you're telling me that this is a win-win. A win-win. What happened to looking after your own? What happened to charity starting at home? Now, I know, I agree, we should never have got involved in Afghanistan in the first place. But we've got significant problems in this country right now that need to be addressed. It doesn't represent the priorities of the people of Stoke on Trent City Council. I bet you that much for free. Debbie says, I'm in Stoke-on-Trent. It's a shithole and full of you know what. Well, you're getting more, Debbie. You're getting more. You're getting more whether you like it or not, Debbie Pet. But I'm sure Debbie doesn't vote Labour. She'll be one of the sensible ones. And Michael says, is there anything we can do to stop this Khan garbage? No, there's not. It's in the gift of unless His Majesty the King says no, but he ain't going to do that, is he? Sadiq Khan's a globalist, green globalist, eco-warrior. Charles loves all of that. The King's not going to do anything. I mean, God save the King and all that, but he ain't going to do anything. And it's in the gift of the government. We've got a 400 and odd seat majority. They ain't going to do a thing. Sir Sadiq Khan. Tell you one thing, I'm not going to call him Sir Sadiq Khan. But then the other interesting thing, because next year, we've got local elections, but Wales is experiencing the reform phenomena more so than the rest of the country. And it's because the Conservatives in Wales have totally collapsed. They've just ousted their leader, Andrew R2D2, Andrew R.T. Davies. They've just ousted him and brought in a new leader. Now that's going to take some... I've no idea what this new leader... I've never heard of this new leader. And I read the news pretty often. And if I've not heard of you as a Conservative politician... So we'll see what's going to happen there, but they're not in a good place. So Reform are chomping at the bit. And Reform, this is from GB News, set to replace Labour and the Tories in Wales. And this poll here, Plaid Cymru on 24%, Labour on 23%, Reform on 23%. They're chopping away there. If Reform managed to eat away at more of the Conservative vote, and as I've just mentioned, they're in total disarray in Wales... They don't know their arse from their elbow at the minute. Although they like talking out their arse a fair bit, I'll tell you that much. But Reform have a real chance here to actually consider being the party of government in Wales. It was started in 2019, and they're ahead nationally now in one poll of Labour. That's extraordinary. So don't lose hope. I know I'm probably being really depressing, but don't lose hope. Because things are happening. People are waking up slowly. A bit too slow for my liking. I'm a deeply impatient person. I get that from me ma. But things are happening. Slowly but surely. Things are happening. And Upper Wales says Enzo. Good for you, Enzo. And people are saying start a petition. They'll just laugh at me. But I mean, listen, I'll sign it if there is one. I'll sign it. That debate's going to happen in January, though, for a new general election that were all signed. Millions of were signed. That's going to happen in January. And you think, well, do Labour get it? I've just told you what Yvette Cooper said earlier. But then you've got Labour MPs like Clive Lewis saying this.
Now, hi there, just thought I'd give you a quick update as I walk to work. But this Sunday, the 8th of December, all the details will be below this video. Some of us in Norwich will be gathering outside the Brook Hotel. Now, that's where they keep migrants and asylum seekers who've come to this country. And we know that the far right may be...
Why they're not in your house, Clive? Why are these migrants all the way in this public building that could be used for a multitude of things? Why aren't you inviting one of them into your house? You say we're all far right and dismiss us as bigots. Where's your migrant, big mouth?
Be turning up as well to protest hopefully peacefully, outside the hotel. That's their right, but it's also our right as citizens of Norwich in this country to stand there and protest in support of people who come to this country looking for help. So join me and hopefully many others as we show that Norwich has a long history of welcoming strangers and that isn't going to change anytime soon. See you there.
I just don't think these people recognise, these Labour politicians recognise what a rude awakening they're in for, because the anger out there is absolutely palpable. Every person I speak to, and tell me in the comments if you're hearing this as well, every person I speak to is saying they do not recognise their own country. They do not recognise what Britain is turning into. They do not recognise what their ancestors fought and died for in certain cases, or at least fought for. They do not recognise the promise of Britain, that ancient project, the nation of kings and queens, of liberties, of democracy, of progress. We're going backwards. We're destroying ourselves. And these Labour politicians saying, Norwich, in isolation, Norwich has always been welcoming. Norwich is welcoming. Every single opinion poll says that the public want, if any, far, far fewer migrants coming to this country. Far, far fewer refugees coming to this country. Far, far fewer boat people coming into this country. The gimmigrants, the gimme. It's not gimme a man after midnight. It's gimme your taxpayer money before midnight so I can get myself out on the raz. Why not, eh? They're taking me for total mugs. And the anger, I've never known anything like it. Anita says, I live in a sleepy market town and it's changed beyond recognition because of the illegals. Anita, I was born in a place, I was born in Consett in County Durham, but I was brought up in a place called Stanley. And I just found out that they closed Barclays Bank in Stanley and they're building some flats above that building that used to be a bank that people need and people wanted to stay there. And instead they're going to build houses, and it's a HMO building. And I bet you by bottom dollar, it ain't going to be British nationals living in there. So Anita, I'm with you. I'm in the same boat. Happy One says, I live in Luton and I think I'm in the minority now. Happy One, my heart breaks for you. I'm not joking either. I'm not being remotely facetious. I can't imagine living in Luton. I'll probably be cancelled for saying that, but I can a pet. Or if you're a man, I won't call you pet, but I'm sure you won't mind. KTS says, I'm glad I moved back to Newcastle from London. Well, you and me both. Everyone that I know have moved out of London. These born and bred London's moving out of the capital. London's just going to be a dearth. It's just going to be migrants. Steve says, not a mention of immigration. What a complete farce. Yeah, they didn't mention it. Yvette Cooper says it wasn't part of the 6-point plan. I wonder why, because they don't care. They don't care. They quite like this change for the country. More voters for them. They know that. They know that this is guaranteed votes for the Labour Party. Steve, not a mention of immigration. What a complete farce. All of the uni party. Reform for all Brits. Dylan says, I'm an asylum decision maker and the vast majority of asylum seekers are economic migrants. 100%. We know that. Of course they are. Of course they are. Clear as day. And RD says, support the farmers. We definitely need to do that. Buy British whenever you can. And I don't know about buying all that stuff that's been fed to those cows to stop them from farting. Why can't we just leave the poor cows alone? Cows are perfectly fine. We all let off a little toot. Are you going to be forcing the rest of us to shove our gobs with stuff to stop us from farting to save the planet in a country that emits 1% of CO2 emissions? I've heard it all. Shove it up your backside. Leave thou cows alone. RD says reform all the way. Don't split our vote. And politicians should be held to account. And Victoria says, Darren, stop skipping my comments just because my surname is Todd. Victoria, I hope PC Todd from Cambridgeshire Police isn't your son. He's missed that illegal migrant 5 times. 5 times. 5 bloody... God, honestly, I feel like I'm going insane. I do. I feel like I'm going round the twist. Everything that's going on in this country. Sir Sadiq Khan. I can't get over it. Sir Sadiq Khan. Tommy says London must not fall. I think London, maybe things can be turned around one day, but it ain't going to happen anytime soon. It really ain't. I have to go down every week for work, and I dread it, really. I dread it. I like all my friends down there, don't get us wrong. I love where I work. I love my colleagues. But it's a grim old place. Tony says, reform all the way until we get our country back. That's just the start. It is just a start. Watch Nigel on Question Time the night. Support Nigel however you can. I'm going to be doing that. I'll be tweeting along if any of you are on X. And we'll support him. I'd make no bones of it. I voted reform in the last election. If there was an election today, I would do so again in a heartbeat. In fact, I would skip. I would run to the ballot box like Mo Farah. I would. I really would. I would run like a gimmigrant, getting off a boat all the way for the Dole. I would. And I would do it with gusto. But my friends, don't lose hope, right? We've got good news in the form of Reform overtaking Labour in that poll. We've got good news going on with half of Brits disappointed in this government. That feeds through. It feeds through. We've got good news that their plan for change is about as much use as a chocolate teapot, and that's not going to have any cut through. We've got good news in Wales, showing that Reform's pegging now with Labour. Chopping away there. We've got good news coming in. People are waking up. We are slow maybe to wake up. We're not like the French. We don't go out on the streets as often. But we are slowly waking up. The country's at the end of its tether. It really is. And I thank God that I've got the support of all of you watching. All of you who watch Reasoned. And thank you very much to all of you for commenting along. And RD says, Rupert Lowe is my MP here in Norfolk. Great man. He is a great man. And he's got some bloody good ideas. He's got a good noggin up there. He really does. And I just saw another comment. Yeah, Talon says, question time's going to be a good one. I agree, Talon. And KTS says, I'd never call Starmer or Khan sir. I just saw a comment about Newcastle and I've just lost it. I was going to answer it for you. Anyway, right, listen, I don't want to keep you all night because you've got to go support Nigel. You'll be on at, what is it, 10 o'clock? I'll tell you, actually. It is on at... I haven't watched Question Time in such a long time because it's a pile of shite that I don't actually know what time it's on. I'm sure it's like 10 o'clock. Someone will tell us. Anyway, we'll watch it. They won't like it when Nigel puts it up them, but we'll watch it and we'll cheer him on. And don't lose hope, please. For the love of God, don't become apathetic because that's what they want to happen. They want you to feel down and out and not wanting to get involved, get out there and vote, get out there and get involved in things, support channels like this. They just want you to go watch Netflix and forget all about the government. Leave it all to Sir Sadiq and Sir Khan, Sir Starmer and Yvette Cooper and Rachel Thieves and Diane Abacus but we can't. Britain is far too important to be left to this, to be reduced to this. Right, Taylor says it's after the news at 10. Oh, 10, yeah. And Debbie says, I've never watched it tonight. But I've never watched it, but I will be tonight, though. Yeah, exactly. And Michael only stopped playing on his Xbox for reasons. Well, Michael, I appreciate that very much. Thank you very much for joining. We'll try to do more of these lives because I like responding to you and bringing you into the conversation a bit more. But I'll see you on the next one. Don't lose hope. That's my message to you, even though I've just been pulling my hair out throughout this stream. Time for a drink, I think. Night, guys.